Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. This is my 1999 GM 2.4 liter quad 4 engine that I'm doing a complete rebuild on. I just got done putting the timing chain in and getting everything set and ready to go, and I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. If you like videos like this, make sure you click that subscribe button and click on the bell notification to be notified each and every time I upload a video. Before we get started with the timing chain installation, there is one small housekeeping task we need to do. When I put this timing cover on in the last video, I never did get these bottom 4 bolts torqued down for the oil pan. So I just looked up the spec, and they are spec'd at 106 inch-pounds. So we'll go ahead and torque these down. Okay, now that those bolts down there are torqued down, we've got to put our water pump in before we put the timing chain on, because the water pump on this is driven by the timing chain. If I can get it in here, I'll show you. So that sits in there like that, and it's turned by the timing chain. So when I first tore this motor down, I kind of played with this shaft and everything, and it seemed like it was okay. But it's not loose at all, but it's starting to make a bearing sound back here in the back. Let me see if we can hear it here. I'll hold it up to the microphone. Usually when you start to hear that sound, it means the seal's getting really dry, and seal and or bearing failure usually follows relatively soon. So I think with my 25% off coupon, I can get this water pump for $30 at advance. I think it's probably worthwhile just to go ahead and throw an aftermarket on there, just as insurance. You know, I don't really mind having to tear it down. I don't think it's really that hard of a job to do these in the car. So it's not like changing your spark plugs or something, but you know, it's a little bit more difficult. But I just put all these gaskets and stuff in this, and you've got to tear the timing chain off, the inner timing cover off, and all that, and the exhaust manifold off to get to this to replace it. So I think I'd be better off just to go ahead and spend $30 and replace it now. So I'm going to go pick that up, and we'll be back, and we'll continue on this guy. Alright, so I went up to the Advanced Auto. There's a nice new water pump. And this one, you can see you can't even spin it at all. It's really nice and stiff. This is how a water pump should feel. It means all the seals are nice in there. Came with a couple new gaskets, but I'm going to use the gaskets I got with my Chinese gasket set because they're orange, and that makes them cooler. Alright, so I've got this water pump housing thingy bob gasket removed and cleaned up. There's how our water pump bolts on here. So we're going to go ahead and put our gasket in here. So that just goes on there like so, and this bolts on. Now we gotta get this whole thing bolted back up to the motor. Okay, so we gotta put this gasket here. This is set up so it only goes on one direction. The holes will only line up the one way. Seal that up against the back of the timing cover, because there could be oil coming here from the timing chain, so it's going to be sealed. And then we've got this little gasket that goes right here, where this water pump feeds into the side of the block. And then our water pump, and the thermostat housing and everything will come right up here. Feed in there. And then we just got to get that guy fit in right there behind here. There we go. So now I gotta do these nuts right here, which are 13s. I'm gonna need a wrench for them. Well, these 3 nuts right here are gonna be tightened down. And before I do that, I'm just gonna unsnug these 2 bolts so that they can move up and tighten all the way. Grab a wrench. Alright, just go ahead and tighten these 2 bolts up good. My Ryobi might be dying. Not sounding too happy. Alright, so first we got to get our little tensioner things in here. Tensioner thingamabobs. Figure out which ones go where. This is the big long one. That one goes here. Like so. And this little short one has got to go right here. Every tool's got a handle. Alright, here is our little shoe for the tensioner. And there's this little guide right here. And we got this little guy here. On one side of him, he's got a little dot. That dot. If I remember right, it was a little tight on the other one when it first started too, or before. Alright, bottom gear is in. Those dots look dead on to me. Go ahead and line up this. Here. Those 2 dots are dead on now. Alright. We gotta put our tensioner in. This tensioner collapses and then you'll expand it once the chain's in, but you just push it down on a flat surface and it clicks in. what's going on here? What's going on? I got it upside down. That's what's going on. There we go. And these are 8mm. So let me get an 8mm socket. I'm going to loosen that up to where it's just barely snug. And we're going to torque these. 89 inch-pounds for those two bolts. Alright, there's our 89 inch-pounds. I won't pass it. Alright, and we're ready to put our chain on. Thinking maybe I have to put this on after the fact. If that's the case, I should go review my video. There we go. It's on. Now what we got to do is release this tensioner. I'll show you that. This tensioner right here has to be released. You just pry it with the screwdriver, it clicks and pops up like that, and you're set. Alright, so I've got the pins pulled out. And the timing chain's all on its own now. So let's go ahead and turn this sucker over. And we'll go nice and slow and see if everything turns okay. Everything looks good. I can hear the air coming out of the spark plug holes. Let me bring it back to top dead center on number 1 here. Coming up on it. There we go. So that's all good. What I'm going to do is just kind of lube this down with a little more oil. I'm all happy with that. So now we're ready to go ahead and get this timing cover put on. So on this guy we've got a gasket that goes to the inside here. So we've got a gasket that goes to the outside. If you're doing this job without a rebuild, just doing a timing chain, the book does list this gasket as inspect and reuse. So you may not need to buy a new gasket. Now there's one other thing we got to do here that I just remembered. Is this main seal right here needs to be replaced with a new one. So I'll go ahead and we'll get that in there real quick. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and hammer this guy out of here. Here's the old one. It really doesn't look all that bad a shape. That's why we're still just going to go ahead and pop a new one in. Like so. Sure this all looks good. Yeah, it does. Alright. That's in there. And it is as good as the old one was. I don't need to I don't need to put any oil on this gasket here until I'm ready to slide the crankshaft pulley on, because that's what the actual sealing surface is to that seal. So we'll just go ahead and get this set in place. Make sure we get everything lined up. We're all good there. Get the bolts. Got all my bolts in a bag. So that is how we do a timing chain on one of these guys. Not too hard. Make sure everything is right on the money, you know, as far as being in line, and everything goes pretty smooth. It's a lot harder to do one in the vehicle. I did this one while it was still in the vehicle. See up here in the corner, and that's be a link to my 4-part playlist on how to put a timing chain on one of these in the vehicle. But it still wasn't an impossible or terrible job to do. So now all we got left is to start getting all the goodies bolted on to the outside, and wait for some decent weather, get the car pushed over here, and we'll get her dropped in. And hopefully it won't be too long before we hear this baby running. I'll talk to y'all later. It's Tom, your Frugal Prepper.